get this. The headline is that the judge shut down Florida's anti-censorship law. What? Florida had an anti-censorship law and then a court stopped. So a court is implementing censorship? Well, let's look. On Monday, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that Florida's social media regulation law is unconstitutional. The victory for social media companies comes as they fight another Court of Appeals law that allowed a similar law in Texas to be enforced. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled against most of the provisions in Florida's social media regulation law. Really? However, it said some of the provisions, including one that requires platforms to allow banned individuals to access their data for at least 60 days, were constitutional. The ruling said that the law violated social media companies' First Amendment rights. A company has a First Amendment right. That's good to know. This is from the ruling from the court. Taking stock, we conclude that social media platforms, content moderation activities, permitting, removing, prioritizing, and deprioritizing users and posts constitute speech.
Censorship is speech.
What? So they're saying that censorship is speech.
It's to the little algorithm games.
So
So
Facebook, let's just use Facebook. Facebook says that we're not a publisher, so you can't sue us if someone says something and you get hurt by it. We're like a bookstore. You can't sue the bookstore if something in a book is harmful to you or slanderous or libelous. You don't sue the bookstore, you sue the publisher. So that's what Facebook, YouTube, all the social media platforms say. We're not the publisher, so you can't sue us. But then they go and censor. That makes them a publisher.
Are they like, we just think of it as putting a beaded curtain dividing the no good, nudie, whatever.
But they are this. So, but that makes them. So then they have that special cutout.
Yeah, right.
I think it's called Section 220 or whatever that thing. Trump wanted to get
it both ways law.
Yeah, the have it both ways law. That's exactly right. Yeah. So we can censor and be publishers, but you can't sue us because we're not publishers. We're just a bookstore. So they have it both ways. And Florida had a law that was trying to get rid of that, having it both ways, and the court overturned it. Most notably, the court rejected the argument that social media companies should be defined as common carriers. So I think they should be common carriers. Florida agreed with us? So you're telling me the maniacs in Florida that everybody says should be repulsive to progressives, lefties, Democrats, anybody, that those people are fighting a censorship battle on the right side?
I never even heard about this thing at all, by the way, until just now, that there was where it was into a question of if speech was that was a form of speech, them not
censoring is it's crazy. Neither law nor logic recognizes government authority to strip an entity of its First Amendment rights merely by labeling it a common carrier. Wow. So they're saying that it's Facebook and YouTube's First Amendment right to censor you. That's what they're saying. That's what this court is saying.
And we also think these common carriers should be doing that.
Yeah, and the common carriers should be
censorship phones. Yeah, we should. That's what they're.
The court also ruled that the provision requiring social media companies to explain their content moderation decision violated the First Amendment.
The right to remain silent is the First Amendment.
So no, what they're saying is the court ruled that.
Yeah, they don't have to tell you. They don't have to explain to you how it's done. That's really
right. So they can censor you in secret, in the dark, and they don't have to explain it to you. They're saying that's part of the First Amendment. Who the fuck appointed this judge? Was it Gomer Pyle? Are you kidding? Who appointed this judge? Earlier this month, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals allowed a similar law in Texas to be enforced. The Texas law prohibits social media companies from censoring content or banning users based on political viewpoints. That's a good thing. We should all be for this. Why is it Republicans that are doing this and not lefties?
Well, I don't know if you saw the George Carlin documentary, but
no, I didn't.
He probably would agree with this form of censorship. So before I finish this article, I'm going to watch that George Carlin documentary, and I'm sure it's bullshit. I'm sure they pretend that George Carlin would have voted for Hillary Clinton, just like they did before. That was disgusting. They did more than that. They have where do you see Colbert's takes?
Okay, so tech companies have appealed to the ruling by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals and have submitted by the ruling by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. Oh, I don't know what any of that means. The opposing ruling from the two circuit courts. So there's two courts with the same issue, and they're ruling in opposition. One in Texas, one in Florida. The opposing ruling from the two circuit courts could pressure the Supreme Court to rule whether or not online platforms' content moderation practices are protected by the First Amendment. They are not. I don't care what that judge says. They are not protected. Censorship is not protected by the First Amendment. So again, they're making the left is dead, brain dead. They're so pro-censorship. They're so they're so authoritarian that they're making, again, they're doing this again. They're making right-wingers look like the champions of free speech.
Well, it sounds like a legalese version of it's not censorship if a private company does it. It just sounds like that.
No, now they're trying to say it's First Amendment. And now someone will clip this like they did last time to make it look like somehow I'm telling people to vote for DeSantis. And which I expect people to do. What I don't expect is for grown-ups to fall for it. Like my fucking ex-friends. Jesus
what do you want,
Christ.
Marjorie Taylor Greene to be president of the world?
If you're out there responding to a video that was clipped of me to make it look like I'm telling people to vote for DeSantis, you're a fucking dumb chump. And one guy did that, and he came out and he was tweeting about it, and then he protected all his tweets. Why? Because he's a chicken shit coward. One guy who used to be a friend of mine believed that clipped video, started tweeting about it, got his ass ratioed by a regular person, Russ Lewis, and then hit all his tweets because he's such a fucking cunt.
Wait, for everyone or just you?
Everyone. Everyone.
What did I do? Why don't I get to
because he doesn't want people to see that he got ratioed and that he's a fucking moron. That he's just a big idiot as any Hillary voter. And it was pretty sweet. By the way, I got the screenshots of it. Somebody sent me the screenshots, so now I have them. Hey, we're doing stand-up comedy in Irvine, California, Las Vegas, San Diego, Salt Lake City, Indianapolis, Louisville, all over the place. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for tickets.